Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I'm actually going to be playing the Abyss. I know it's a unit that a lot of people have found to be somewhat underwhelming, but I think I may have found situations where it actually can shine and do something at the very least. I'll be up against Zillalag, one of 501's most cerebral and strong players. Also has participated in the Mag 1 League, so a scary opponent for sure. He's sitting at about 2300 or so MR, I believe. And yeah, let's have a look. We start with a spider pack here with the speed specialist. And then we have spiders and fangs. Opponent starts with Hound and Mustang, so I'm pretty happy, I would say, with the opening pack that I've been given. I think I have a very solid matchup here. Of course, I'll be playing aggressive. I mean, that is kind of what I like to play most. And with spiders, I think you're somewhat forced to do so. Opponent does have a sizable amount of hit points, but we can't really complain either at 4,800. Now, I think the best thing to do here, I was thinking about buying a third spider, but I think it's just better to grab some crawlers. Crawlers are really good against Mustang. They're also good against hounds, at least in the early game, while they're still the same level, because obviously they can't one-shot them. And they will need 2 shots per crawler. So that just seemed like the best thing. Don't want to skip a deployment here if I can avoid doing so. And so yeah, you will see us setting up here on the left side. Fangs are going to go in front, maybe one in the back to already cover the flank. And then we'll have some crawlers trickling in as well. I like to leave about 2 spaces behind the spiders. Reason for that is sometimes I like to put a phoenix there. And I think this just kind of... well, it creates some space for potential other units, and it also, like, make sure that the crawlers don't move in too quick. But yeah, spiders here will do just fine, clearing up all of the small units. Opponents only went for some chaff. And so things are looking quite good here on round number 1. And that enters round number 2 with immediate unit reinforcements. Now, I don't have to think too long about the Phoenix here, because it's just such a nice unit to pair with the Tarantula. It's kind of what you want to buy on round 2 as the aggro player anyway, so if you get it for free, you don't have to think twice. Of course, I did briefly think about the Wasp drop. I have to somewhat respect this, maybe, but I felt like I had a good amount of fangs already. And look at this, I still have 400 left, which really is quite a lot. And so I'm thinking, well, I can just build another spider plus some chaff on the right side and I should be completely fine. Now, it ends up being a crawler here instead of a fang. Could have made this a fang if I wanted to. Maybe would have been slightly better. We do put the crawler in front because I am thinking about this diagonal being abused, and it is going to be the Wasp. And we take the defense enhancement here. Could have leveled the tower, could have used a missile, but I mean, it is what it is. We actually do manage to distract the Wasps for some time, which means that we can push in. Opponent went for a Stormcaller there. Pretty good source of DPS here, at least for the early game to deal with the spiders. You will get the debuff, and actually that hurts a lot. Wow. Salvo almost taking down a spider in its entirety. And as the other one falls too, round 2 will be going over to Zilly. And so we weren't quite successful pushing in this time. We don't take too much damage, but at the same time, opponent does manage to strike back and buy himself some time. Because right now what he has is chaff and smaller units, but he needs to get to the bigger units, right? And I was kind of expecting him to go for War Factory, because that's something that Zilly is quite known for. And it felt like his setup was leaving some holes to put in some War Factory. So that's kind of what I was expecting. But for now, that would be way too far off anyway. Wasn't expecting that before round 5 or 6 at the earliest. For now, we managed to grab a level on the Tarantula on round 3, which is not that common, but I guess that's what happens when you're up against a lot of small units. There is a Rhino drop, which I do decide to pick up because I don't want to get debuffed. I'll be using that on the right side here to try and cover both the middle and the right side of the field. And we're just going to be building more chaff. I kind of wanted range, but with the level up, I wouldn't be able to do that and also get deployments down. So instead, it's just going to be a fang, a crawler, and another crawler at the back. Opponent doesn't end up going for the Rhino, so maybe it's a bit of wasted resources, but we'll see how this goes. Does have access to the Fire Badger, which finds its way onto the left side of the board, kind of covering the flank. Coming in late, the Phoenixes will deal with that. The level 2 Spider tanking very nicely. The Rhino also doing a great job by the looks of things, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to pick up a round here. As I say, that left tower already been pushed up to level 2. Very strong defensive tactic that you can use. And you will see this from quite a lot of HMR players, where they're basically playing around or behind the towers with very little in front and kind of letting the tower do its thing. Or having the units kind of run in front of the tower before the tower can go down. But we do manage to pick up a nice round, so happy with the bounce back. And here, round 4, Super Supply Enhancement shows up. Don't have to think too long about that. It's almost an insta-pick when it shows up this early, especially when you're sitting at around 4k hit points. It really isn't a point of discussion. Both of us do go for it. I decide to pick up the range on the Tarantulas. Really felt like I had to now. Ideally round 3, didn't do that, so now we have to go for it round 4. We did mass recruit last round, so we can kind of afford to lose one deployment. One Fang is going to go here on the outside to cover the other flank, which looks like was a smart move, because Zilly here trying to go for a fancy beacon and distract the Fangs, and maybe even try to get into tower late. Mustangs have been ranged at this point, and there's still no more DPS on the enemy field. It's just going to be more Fangs, more crawlers, lots of chaff being picked up, and at this stage, well, you will see Tarantulas without HE. Not the best, and that does kind of give me the cue that, okay, I should invest into that second tech as well with the high explosive ammo, because I'm up against only small units so far. Fangs will catch those wasps. Tarantula with the range now doing slightly better. Although, yeah, you will see here that the spiders are shooting at good targets, but they only have 5 meters of splash, which really isn't a lot. It's 2 less than something like an Arclight, and yeah, you can really see them struggle as the Stormcaller is raining hell down upon them. And the other spider is doing an okay job. But yeah, it's getting distracted a bit too much. Won't be able to take down this level 2 tower, I don't think. Especially with the debuff now coming in from the level 2 Mustangs on the right side. That is going to be another marginal win for Zilly. And so that brings us into the mid game as we enter round number 5. And that will not have unit reinforcements, it'll be cards. Orbital Javelin is a consideration here, very strong spell, but I don't have too much to hit. There's no big targets right now, so just going to opt to skip and not bother with any of these. Don't need arc lights, don't need Mustang in my opinion. The spiders with the high explosive, which is the tech we pick up this turn, should be enough to deal with everything. I also run AA in case it's necessary. And we're going to pick up another spider, another crawler, and a phoenix on the right side as well. This time I will decide to miss all these wasps. I feel like they've been overstaying their welcome. I thought they would get sold. They didn't, so now I'm just going to opt to miss all them, so I don't have to worry about those. And yeah, opponent here levels the Stormcaller, purchases more Mustangs, excuse me. And at this point, I really thought there would be a War Factory like right here or right here. Because this type of setup with Mustangs to have some anti-air is usually what you will see War Factory players do. But he could also go for a Fortress or a Melter. And yeah, right away you can see here the HE doing quite a lot of work. Oil was used though. And so I will lose all of my chaff on the left side of the board. And that does make a big difference with those leveled Stormcallers immediately connecting onto my Tarantula. It's fighting valiantly. We'll take down most of the units, but eventually will go down. The good thing, though, is that these Mustangs will burn to a crisp. So, as much as I lost the left side, I also now dealt with the left side because of the enemy's fire. And he had to invest into that. So I was honestly quite happy with how this round turned out. A couple of storms here might even burn up from the looks of things. And the tower will sadly go down, but there's one Fang left. And the Stormcallers just keep missing it. So I will even win the round. And I think this is a much better result than if, say, there wasn't a Fire Badger and the oil would stick around for 2 turns. Round number 6, we finally get the second rotation of unit reinforcements, and here, I mean, at this moment, I wasn't running armor on my Phantom Rays, which I now am. I would have probably gone for armor Phantom Rays if I was running it, because, well, the enemy board is nothing but Mustang, but I didn't have it. So instead I go for the Rhino. Didn't feel like teching it, even though armor Rhino is good too, but it really felt like he was about to purchase a large unit, and so I didn't want to like invest into armor Rhino only to walk into, say, a war factory. And this is why I go for an Abyss, because I thought to myself, well, Abyss isn't too bad into Mustangs. They tend to clump up a lot, and then the beam can sweep away a lot of them, and it's pretty good into most giants. It's especially good into things like war factory, and since I was expecting that, I thought, well, this honestly doesn't look too bad. Now, it's not War Factory that comes out, it is actually Melter. I'm guessing that this was because I have 4 pretty large spiders at this point, and, well, the Stormcallers were doing decent, but they won't be good enough for too much longer. And so that's why the Melters come out. I also don't run mines, so Melter is a bit safer into my tech setup than into, let's say, someone who was running the spider mines. Rhino will find its way onto my flank. Both of us kind of going for a similar play. I don't go for efficient maintenance here. I don't feel like it's worth it. It's completely fine to pay 150 upkeep and instead go for those swarm missiles. And yeah, let's have a look at this. Abyss lining up some units. Okay, there it kind of missed, but it will go through the tower and also hit the Melter on the backswing. And that was looking much more promising. Right side is struggling a little bit, but the spider has connected with the Melter, and with the help of the debuff, actually does manage to take it down, and now the Abyss is starting to move over. The missiles fire, the second tower is taken down, and that will be a round secured with the Abyss on the board, and that actually was looking rather good. Now, round number 7, we get a bunch of spells. Smoke Bomb picked up there for Zilly. And I think to myself, well, if I have a look at the enemy board, the Shafter is mostly Mustangs. There's a couple of unteched level 1 Hounds, but I'm not going to count those, and 1 Fire Badger isn't everything either. So, dealing with nothing but Mustangs, I felt like the Crawlers would be a fantastic response. And so that's what I do. I pick up the Underground Threat. I also go for Subterranean Blitz on my Crawlers. I'm really trying to punish the enemy board here for its lack of anti-crawler units. And this is where Missile Interceptor is picked up for the opponent on the Mustangs. Now, 2 Mustangs will be enough to intercept the first salvo of swarm missiles from the Abyss. They're not very hard to intercept, but there's a lot of them. And I only had 1 Abyss, so I didn't feel like this was really a worthwhile investment. But maybe he was expecting more Abysses to show up, which is a fair guess to make. Phoenixes here will be redirected towards the flank just in case the Rhino would stick around, but it's not. Gets sold off. And I decided to sell my Abyss on the left and then elite recruit it back on the right and try to make sure that it does go for the tower. Have a look at this, by the way. Both of the towers level 3 by this point. Very tanky, 60k hit points and only giving 5 seconds of debuff. The Rhino still walks in. I should sell that, but I needed to reposition my Abyss. And yeah, look at this. Abyss just completely shredding the tower, the Melter. It is very satisfying when this unit just lines up everything. And now it's moving on to the next Melter that's sitting in the middle. And yeah, level 2 Abyss can just one-shot Melters if they're a level down. And that is looking really, really good. Just the tower left, level 3, but it looks like 2 sweeps will be enough to take it down. And even though the Melter does manage to find the lock, it is going to be too little too late, as the Abyss will kill it first. And that will send Zilly down to 1,000 hit points. And now suddenly we have round number 8, and I'm kind of looking to end things somewhat fast. Obviously, I have that maintenance that keeps ticking, and well, we get a pretty good unit drop there. Going for the steel balls, realizing that my opponent is into Melter. I wasn't really expecting him to click Diffraction just yet, And again, he had a lack of chaff clear, so I decided to go for mechanical division with the 3 steel balls, and then I can just decide to buy even more if need be. Of course, the crawlers that'll spawn from these packs are also going to have the subterranean blitz tech equipped, and that should just help even more to kind of distract the enemy units and get those abysses to go in, grab the towers, and kill the giants. Now, opponent does kind of realize the threat. Of course, I had subterranean blitz last round, so he picks up triple badger, also going for the Vulcan there. Kind of double dipping from the looks of it. It seems like he was maybe a little bit insecure about what to do here, going for the fire badgers instead. The Vulcan right now sitting behind the tower. And I decided to opt for an oil play myself, hoping that the enemy will set this on fire, run through it, and then meanwhile I can retreat my units to the right side of the board. I elite recruit and mass recruit 3 more blue steel balls, so we've got 6 now, stacking them all on one side of the board, trying to again get into the tower, get rid of the giants, and then loop back around, hoping that most of the chaff will have burnt up. And also, I just didn't want to have to deal with this smoke, right? That was put there last round. Vulcan finds its way onto the flank. A little bit of a surprising move. I did have my Phoenixes looking in that direction before, but now I'm moving them away. And as the Vulcan is making progress, the steel balls have now locked on to both the melter and the tower. We'll take them down. 5 seconds of debuff. Crawlers are spawning left, right, center. And you can see the fire here is doing a decent job, although not everything is advancing as far as I would hope it would. Tower will go down, but I've got steel balls luckily moving in, so hopefully this abyss will just be completely safe. And with only 1 melter left, things are looking really good for us. Abyss moving in, steel balls will lock onto the tower. That melter is not long for this world, as the second tower goes down as well. And then the question is this going to be enough? We have an abyss that will deal 500 damage, 2 spiders, 900, a steel ball pack, another 200, 1100, and then a phoenix as well. So it should be enough. And on round 8, we managed to close out this game. Pretty happy with this one. It was the first time that I really managed to play Abyss with success in a spot where I felt like it actually was doing something. Obviously, my spiders already were doing a great job before. They were kind of slowly scaling, getting the levels. And then once they got the 2 techs, they really were a problem for my opponent's board. And yeah, I went to Abyss kind of preemptively because I thought War Factory was a better option into the spiders. But obviously, it's a worse option into Abyss. And so it ends up being the melter after all, but even that didn't seem to be too much of a problem. Despite both of the towers here being level 3, they went down pretty quick. We utilized underground, or subterranean blitz, excuse me, to be able to annoy and stall the enemy Mustangs. And then we used the drop to good use to kind of create a gut shot at the very end. It looks like this unit does pretty well into like clumps of Mustangs, and it does quite well into larger units, so giants and titans. And yeah, I would generally recommend kind of clicking swarm missiles first. You don't really need efficient maintenance. It's usually a bait tech, I think, unless you like get it out on round 4, then maybe you do need this clicked. But if you buy it on like round 6 or after, typically it's better to just invest in techs like range and swarm missiles. So yeah, let me know down below what you think. Do you like the Abyss? If you tried it out, do you still think that it's too niche or just not a good unit in general? Let me know. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. And if you want to stay up to date with latest content, please consider subscribing. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.